They called her a house girl. For 10 years. 10 years of fetching water before sunrise. 10 years of sleeping on a mat while they slept on mattresses. 10 years of watching their children go to school, while she stayed home and scrubbed their floors. 10 years of being invisible in a house she kept alive. They never once asked her name. They just called her girl. The day she finally looked up, she was sitting behind a desk. Her name was on the door. And the woman who had owned her was standing on the other side of it, begging. Welcome back, beautiful people, and if you are joining Tales by Omer for the very first time today, you have arrived at exactly the right moment. Every story we tell on this channel is built around one truth: that the woman they overlooked is usually the one God was quietly preparing. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Quietly. In the background. In the pain. In the places nobody thought to look. They just couldn't see it yet. I am so glad you are here. Settle in. Put down whatever is in your hands. Because today's story is not just a story. It is a testimony wrapped in tears, wrapped in 10 years of silence, wrapped in the kind of patience that only God can give a person who has decided not to break. And by the time it is over, you will never look at a humble woman the same way again. But before we begin, I need to take a moment. Because some of you came to this video carrying something heavy today. Some of you are in a season where you are doing everything right and still being treated like you are doing everything wrong. Some of you are serving in places that do not value you. Giving in rooms that do not see you. Smiling through pain that nobody around you even knows exists. This prayer is for you. This one is for every woman who was made to feel like a servant in a place that should have felt like home. Every girl who fetched water while others slept. Every child who watched through a window as other children went to school knowing she was just as smart, just as capable, just as deserving, just as human. Every woman who swallowed her tears at night because there was no one to cry to. Every woman who kept going not because it was easy but because something deep inside her refused to give up. I pray for you today. May God take every year they stole from you and multiply it back into your hands with interest. May the people who called you nothing live long enough to call you. May the floor you scrubbed on your knees become the foundation of the empire you build standing on your feet. May the silence they mistook for weakness become the most powerful thing you ever carried. And may every single tear you cried alone in that dark room become a stepping stone to your throne. Amen. If you are part of the Tales by Omer family, drop a red heart hash right now and let me know you are here. I see you. I feel you. And I am so grateful for you. And if this is your first time, hit that subscribe button before this story ends. Because trust me, you are going to want to be here for what comes next. Now, let's get into it. Her name was Adaeze. But nobody called her that. In her auntie's house, she was simply girl. Girl, wake up. Girl, fetch water. Girl, why is this floor still dirty? Girl, did I not tell you to boil the yam before I got back? Girl. Always girl. Never Adaeze. Never Ada. Never child. She was 9 years old when her mother placed her small hand into her auntie's hand at a dusty bus park in Onitsha. The air smelled of diesel and roasted corn. Buses were honking. Traders were shouting. And her mother was crying quietly, the way poor women cry in public, swallowing the sound so nobody would stare. Her mother's name was Chidinma. And Chidinma had nothing. No husband. No land. No savings. Just 3 children, a one-room apartment with a leaking roof, and a sister in Lagos who had married a man with money. Ngozi will take care of her, people told her. Ngozi has a big house. Adaeze will go to school. She will have a better life. Chidinma held her daughter's face in both hands before she let go. She looked at her for a long time. As if she was trying to memorize every detail. As if she already knew. Be good, she whispered. Work hard. Don't give them trouble. Adaeze nodded. She was 9 years old. She did not cry. She did not fully understand. She just held her little bag and followed her auntie to the bus. That promise of school died before the bus even reached Lagos. Auntie Nose's house was everything Chidinma had described. Big. Painted white. A black gate with a security man who saluted when cars drove in. A generator that hummed every evening when NEPA took the light. A sitting room with leather sofas and a flat-screen television. Children who wore shoes inside the house. Adaeze stood at the entrance and felt something she could not name. It was not quite hope. It was not quite fear. It was something in between. Then Auntie Ngozi looked at her and said, "You will sleep in the kitchen. Don't touch anything in the children's rooms. And make sure you wake up before 5. That was her welcome. She was given a mat. Not a bed. Not a mattress. Not even a foam. A mat. Rolled out each night beside the gas cooker, where the smell of onions and pepper and yesterday's soup never quite left the air. In the harmattan, the kitchen floor was cold. In the rainy season, it was damp. But every morning, she rolled the mat back up, tucked it behind the door, and began her day. 5 o'clock. Sweep the compound. Fetch water from the back tank because Auntie Ngozi said the tap water was only for family. Boil water for the children's baths. Prepare breakfast. Wake the children. Dress little Blessing if she was being stubborn. Wash the dishes. Mop the floors. Do the laundry by hand because Auntie Ngozi said the washing machine was for big clothes only. By the time she finished the morning chores, the children were already in school. And Adaeze was on her knees, scrubbing the bathroom tiles. She was 10 the 1st September. She felt it. The ache. She had ironed Chisholm's school uniform the night before, pressed it so perfectly that there was not a single crease. She had polished Emmeka's black shoes until she could see her own reflection in them. She had braided little Blessing's hair into neat cornrows at 6 in the morning. And then she stood at the window and watched them climb into the school bus. Laughing. Backpacks bouncing. Not once looking back. She pressed her palm flat against the window glass. And she felt for the first time in a way she could not push away the weight of what had been taken from her. She was 10 years old. She should have been on that bus. That night, after the dishes were done and the house was quiet, she crept to the dining table. Chisholm had left her English language textbook open. Chapter 4. Comprehension. Adaeze sat down. In the dark, lit only by the thin orange light coming through the window from the compound bulb, she read. Every word. Slowly. Carefully. Moving her lips. Sounding out the ones she didn't know. She did this every night after that. Whatever the children left on the table, she read it. Maths. Social studies. Basic science. She had no teacher. She had no exercise book. She had no pen. She used a stick to write letters in the dust behind the kitchen. She counted beans to learn arithmetic. She memorized everything because she had no paper to write it down. She taught herself. Silently. Stubbornly. The way only a person who has been told they don't deserve something truly learns to fight for it. Once, just once, she asked. She had chosen her moment carefully. Auntie Ngozi was in a good mood. She had just come back from a successful business meeting. She was eating chin-chin and watching a Nollywood film. Adaeze knelt beside her because you never stood when you asked Auntie Ngozi for something. Auntie, she said quietly. When will I start school? The room changed. Auntie Ngozi turned from the television slowly. She looked at Adaeze the way you look at a piece of furniture that has suddenly started making noise. School, she repeated. Flatly. You want to go to school? Yes, Auntie. And who will do the work? Me. Should I come and be sweeping and cooking while you go and sit in a classroom? Is it your mother who cannot even feed herself that will pay the fees? She turned back to her film. Go and finish the plates. Adaeze stood up. She went to the kitchen. She finished the plates. And she never asked again. But she never stopped learning either. 10 years passed. She watched Chisholm finish secondary school and gain admission to study law at the University of Lagos. Their whole family celebrated. They killed a chicken. They bought a cake. Adaeze served the food and washed the dishes afterward. She watched Emeka travel to Canada on a student visa. Auntie Ngozi cried happy tears at the airport. Adaeze ironed the clothes he packed. She watched little Blessing, the same Blessing whose diapers she had changed, whose vomit she had cleaned, whose nightmares she had sat through, grow into a teenage girl who walked past her in the corridor without a word. As if she were part of the wall. As if she were not there. And through all of it, Adaeze said nothing. She just kept going. Kept learning. Kept saving the small coins Auntie Ngozi occasionally pressed into her palm like an afterthought. Go and buy yourself something small. She bought second-hand books from the market. Accounting. Business management. English grammar. She hid them under the mat she slept on. She read them by phone light when everyone was asleep. Nobody knew. Nobody asked. Nobody noticed. Because when you have been invisible long enough, people stop wondering what you are doing in the dark. The day she left, their house was quiet. Auntie Ngozi was at a women's fellowship meeting. Chisholm was at her law firm attachment. Emeka was still in Canada. Blessing was at a friend's birthday party. The gateman old Samuel was asleep under the mango tree, his transistor radio murmuring beside him. Adaeze woke up that morning and lay on her mat for a few extra minutes. She looked at the ceiling of the kitchen. The familiar water stain in the corner. The hook where Auntie Ngozi hung her aprons. The small window that had given her 10 years of borrowed light. Then she got up. She rolled the mat neatly one last time and set it in the corner. She packed her things into a single bag. It was the same size as the bag her mother had packed for her 19 years ago. Almost nothing had changed on the outside. Everything had changed on the inside. She did not slam the door. She did not leave a note. She did not take anything that was not hers. She just walked out. Past the compound. Past old Samuel snoring under the mango tree. Through the black gate. And into the street. Quietly. The way she had done everything else for 10 years. What happened next is the part people always want to skip to. The miracle. The glow-up. The moment everything changed. But real life does not work that way. And Adaeze's story does not lie to you. There was no sudden miracle waiting outside that gate. There was just a 20-year-old woman with a bag, some second-hand books, and a will that 10 years of servitude had somehow failed to break. She made her way to a butcher. A distant cousin, a man named Ikenna, let her sleep in his parlor. She swept his house, cooked his meals, and paid her way with labor while she looked for work. It was painfully familiar. But this time, she told herself, it was temporary. This time, she was choosing it. She found a kiosk selling recharge cards near a bus stop. The woman who owned it, Mama Chika, was hard but fair. She paid Adaeze a small wage and let her manage the kiosk during the day. Adaeze was the best employee Mama Chika ever had. She memorized every customer's name. She counted change faster than anyone. She was always early. Never absent. She smiled even when she was exhausted. Because she had decided on that kitchen mat, years ago, that wherever she went, she would be excellent. Not because someone was watching. But because excellence was the one thing nobody could take from her. 6 months later, a woman stopped at the kiosk to buy airtime. Her name was Mrs. Ikenna. She wore a corporate blazer and carried a leather handbag. She was a branch operations officer at a microfinance bank 2 streets away. She came back 3 days in a row. On the 3rd day, she looked at Adaeze carefully and said, "You are too sharp to be selling recharge cards." Adaeze said nothing. "Can you read?" "Yes." "Can you count?" "Yes." "Do you have any qualifications?" Adaeze hesitated. Then she told the truth. All of it. The house girl. The mat. The 10 years. The books she had read by phone light. Mrs. Okonkwo was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Come to my office on Monday morning. 8 o'clock. Don't be late." Adaeze did not sleep that weekend. She came. Monday morning. 7:45. She was the first person at the door. Mrs. Okonkwo gave her a chance as an office assistant. Filing. Sorting documents. Making tea. Answering phones. Adaeze did all of it and more. She watched how the loan officers worked. She studied the forms customers filled. She asked questions during lunch breaks politely, carefully, always framing it as curiosity rather than ambition. She stayed late to help with reports nobody asked her to touch. She arrived early to organize files before the senior staff got in. Within a year, she was assisting the loans desk. Within 3 years, she had passed her banking exams night classes, every Tuesday and Thursday, tired feet and open books. Within 5 years, she had her degree distance learning, paid for by herself, one semester at a time. Within 8 years, she had her professional certification. And on one quiet Tuesday morning, she walked into a corner office in a Tier 2 commercial bank in Abuja. Sat down behind a wide mahogany desk. Looked out through the glass wall at the banking hall below. Branch manager. Her name on the door. Adaeze Okonkwo. Not girl. Not house girl. Adaeze. She sat there for a full minute before she did anything else. Just Saturday. And breathed. And let herself feel for the first time in a long time what it was like to arrive. She had been in that office for 3 months when the appointment request came in. A woman. Requesting a personal review of a declined loan application. The file had been rejected twice, once at the branch level, once by the regional credit team. The amount was significant. The collateral was weak. The application was messy. The name on the file was Mrs. Adaeze. Adaeze read the name twice. She set the file down on her desk. She looked out at the banking hall. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she pressed the intercom. Send her in. Auntie Adaeze walked into that office the way she had always walked into rooms. With the confidence of a woman who expected to be received well. Gold earrings. A good lace blouse. Handbag held properly. She sat down across from the desk without fully looking up. She was preparing herself. Organizing her words. Thinking about what to say, how to say it, how to appear calm even though she desperately needed this loan. Her business had been struggling for 2 years. The economy had been cruel. She had borrowed from family and paid back. Borrowed from friends and paid back. Now she needed the bank. And the bank had said no. Twice. She had one more chance. The branch manager. She finally looked up. And the world stopped. The woman behind the desk was looking at her calmly. Hands folded on the table. Face composed. Eyes steady. Auntie Adaeze's mouth opened. No sound came out. She looked at the nameplate on the desk. Adaeze Okonkwo. Branch manager. Her hands began to tremble. Adaeze. Adaeze. The woman behind the desk did not flinch. She did not smile widely. She did not lean forward with satisfaction. She just held her posture. Steady. Dignified. Good afternoon, Mar, she said. I have reviewed your application. How can I help you today? She did not humiliate her. In all the years Adaeze had spent imagining this moment, and she had imagined it, in the quiet of the kitchen, in the dark of the early mornings, she had never imagined cruelty. She was not built for cruelty. 10 years of pain had not made her hard. They had made her precise. She walked Auntie Adaeze through the application. She explained clearly what was missing. She told her what documentation would strengthen the case. She gave her a realistic picture honestly, professionally, kindly. She did not mention the mat. She did not mention the school fees. She did not mention the 10 years. She did not mention the name they had called her. She just did her job. The way she had always done everything. With excellence. With grace. When Auntie Ngozi stood to leave, her legs were unsteady. Her eyes were red. At the door, she turned. Adaeze. I didn't know. I didn't know you would. She could not finish the sentence. Adaeze stood behind her desk. She smiled the same quiet, composed smile she had worn for 10 years in that kitchen. Have a good afternoon, Mar. The door closed. And Adaeze sat back down. Picked up the next file. And continued her work. Beautiful people. I need you to hear what I am about to say. God does not forget. He is never in a hurry. But he is never not once late. The mat you are sleeping on right now is not your final resting place. The name they are calling you girl, nobody, charity case, forgotten one. That is not your name. Your name is written in a place they cannot reach. And God has not lost the file. The years you feel are being wasted. They are not wasted. They are being invested. In you. In your character. In your capacity. In the version of you that will one day walk into a room that used to look down on you. And simply say, "Good afternoon, Mar. How can I help you today?" That is power. Not loud power. Not revenge. Not bitterness. Quiet, unshakable, God-given power. The kind that comes from surviving something that should have broken you. And choosing every single day to remain whole. If this story moved you today, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who is on their mat right now. Someone who is scrubbing a floor that is not theirs. Someone who is being called a name that is not who they are. Let them know. The story is not over. It has not even reached the best part yet. Drop a red heart hash in the comments. Tell me which part of Adaeze's story spoke to you the most. I am Tales by Omar. And until next time, carry yourself like the royalty you are.